This is my chapter summaries for chapters 4, 5, and 6. Chapter 4 was about language. Language is an important part of communication. Our book defines language as a system of signs, sounds, gestures, and marks used to understand and express ideas and feelings among people. With that being said, language and thought are dependent upon one another. I know we've all heard the saying, think before you speak, and that is typically true in order to avoid miscommunications. When you say things, you can't take them back, so it's always a good idea to think before we speak. There are 4 key elements of language: sounds, words, grammar, and meaning. Words can be either concrete or abstract, and they can have a denotative or connotative meaning. And that means a denotative meaning is like a dictionary meaning. You mean that word in your speech means exactly what it's supposed to mean. A connotative meaning is a meaning of the word as it would be in the context of your speech, depending on your mood, your feelings, the topic you're speaking on, etc. There are miscommunications with language. What the speaker means and what the listener interpret and understand may be different. This is called bypassing. Another miscommunication is rising, stereotyping people. Language can promote the tendency to view things in terms of extremes, and this is called polarization. Men and women communicate differently, and this can lead to language being sexist. There's also cultural differences in language. As anything you would expect, culture affects language. Effective language use includes using accurate language, using vivid language, using immediate language, using appropriate language, and using metaphorical language. Chapter 5 was all about nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication includes or is defined as behaviors, attributes, or objects that communicate messages that have a social meaning. Characteristics of nonverbal communication would be that it occurs constantly, it depends on the context, it is more believable than verbal communication, it is a primary means of expression, it's related to culture, and it is ambiguous. It also has implements verbal behavior, it repeats verbal behavior, it regulates verbal behavior, it substitutes for verbal behavior, and it can even be used to deceive people. Facial expressions and body movements are common forms of nonverbal communication, but along with that are also physical characteristics, touch, space, time, vocals, silence, artifacts, and environment when communicating via nonverbal gestures. All these things are important in terms of getting your message across, trying to make sure that there are no miscommunications with or misunderstandings with what you're saying through your nonverbal communication. Chapter 6 was all about listening. Listening is a key component of communication. There are several stages of effective listening, which include hearing, understanding, remembering, interpreting, evaluating, and listening. There are 4 functions of listening: to obtain information, to evaluate, with empathy or for environment. And as with every other component of communication, there are barriers that can cause miscommunication, such as criticizing the speaker or faking your attention. Also, critical listening and critical thinking are closely related in terms of analyzing and connecting information. Intercultural listening is a new concept, and when communicating between cultures, it's important that you respectfully ask questions and be aware of cultural differences.